At the beginning of the story, a dead body is shown hanging from a tree behind a river in a deserted area. It was the year 1830. In the next scene, we see the main character of the movie, Augustus Landor, washing his hands on the riverbank. Landor is a retired policeman who, after retirement, lives in a small house built beside the river. Then, some people from a military academy come to meet Landor. Actually, the dead body shown at the beginning of the movie belonged to a student of that academy, and they wanted Landor to investigate the case. Landor had solved many complicated cases during his time in the police force, which earned him great respect from the top officials of the city. Because of this, the captain of the academy personally came to his house to pick him up. After reaching the academy's office, the captain praises Landor, saying that the governor himself has decided to bring Landor in to solve the case. Although Landor was a very successful policeman, in the past few years, he had faced a mountain of sorrow in his personal life. His wife had died 3 years ago, and his daughter had run away from home with someone. Because of this, he began to feel very lonely. Due to his loneliness, Landor started drinking and became dependent on alcohol. The colonel was already aware of the problems in Landor's personal life, so he felt uneasy about giving him such a big responsibility in this difficult situation. However, putting his personal problems aside, Landor asks the colonel the reason for calling him there. The colonel tells him that a student of the academy named Fry had committed suicide the night before, but that wasn't what was troubling the colonel and the captain. The real problem was that when Fry's body was brought to the hospital, someone had removed his heart from his chest. After this, the colonel takes Landor to the hospital where Fry's body is kept. Dr. Marquise, who is examining the body, explains to Landor how an unknown criminal had cut open the chest with a knife and cleanly removed the heart. Removing a heart from a person's chest is not an easy task. Landor asks the doctor whether a normal person could do this, or if it requires a surgeon. The doctor replies that if someone has knowledge of the human body, they could also remove the heart, so being a surgeon isn't necessary. After that, Landor first goes to the spot where Fry had committed suicide. There, along with the captain, is the soldier who first discovered Fry's body. When Landor questions the soldier, he says that while patrolling the area last night, he heard someone screaming. When he followed the sound, he found Fry's body hanging from a tree. The soldier further says that Fry was hanged last night, but his feet were still touching the ground. Hearing this, Landor asks him if he saw anyone else nearby. The soldier replies, "No." Landor then smiles and tells him he can leave. After this, Landor and the captain return to the hospital. Landor examines the body himself and discovers a deep wound on the back of Fry's head. He also finds injuries on Fry's hands, which were probably caused when he tried to free himself while being hanged. From this, it can be assumed that Fry didn't kill himself, but someone forcibly hung him on the tree. Meanwhile, the doctor arrives. When Landor and the doctor look at the injury on Fry's head, the doctor is surprised that he didn't notice such a serious wound before. Then, Landor and the doctor open Fry's clenched fist and find a piece of paper inside with some letters written on it. The doctor is shocked that such important information had escaped his attention. The paper Landor found could be a big clue. He takes the letter and prepares to leave, but the captain stops him. The captain asks Landor to investigate the case secretly. He doesn't want the academy's reputation to be ruined because of Fry's murder. He also strictly warns Landor not to drink any alcohol until the case is solved. Landor had already become infamous in the city as a drunkard. After agreeing to all of the captain's conditions, Landor begins his investigation. He returns to the place where Fry's body was found and starts searching for clues. While investigating, a student from the academy shows up. The cadet's name is Edgar. Edgar tells Landor that he has also been trying to investigate Fry's case in his own way, and he believes that Fry's killer is a poet. Saying this, he leaves. Later, Landor questions the constable who was guarding Fry's body in the hospital when the heart was stolen. The constable tells Landor that he was on duty until 2:30 a.m. At that time, an officer came and discharged him. However, because it was dark, the constable couldn't see the officer's face. Landor is surprised to hear this. The constable also mentions something strange. He noticed that the officer didn't have a rank badge on his shoulder, which is normally a matter of shame for any officer. This makes Landor even more puzzled, so he goes to a bar to calm his mind. Landor knew the bartender, Patsy, very well. Today, Patsy was feeling a bit upset. When Landor asks her the reason for her worry, Patsy tells him that she knew Fry very well and is very saddened by his death. She adds that only a few special people in the academy knew about Fry's death. Landor is surprised and asks Patsy how she came to know about the incident. Patsy points to a man sitting in the bar. Landor sees that it's none other than Edgar, the same person who had told him that Fry's murderer was a poet. Landor asks Edgar why he said that. Edgar, in his poetic style, says that only a poet could think of committing a crime like stealing someone's heart. He adds that he himself is a poet, so he knows how a poet thinks. Landor realizes that Edgar is speaking under the influence of alcohol. As Landor is about to leave, Edgar stops and tells him a secret. Some time ago, Fry had a fight with his roommate, but no one knows what the fight was about. The next day, Landor and the captain bring in 2 soldiers for questioning. One of them was Fry's roommate. Landor asks him about the fight between him and Fry. The roommate replies that there was never a serious fight between them. He says that Fry had fallen into bad company, and he was only trying to guide him back onto the right path. They had a small argument about this. However, Fry's roommate didn't know who those bad friends were. Fry never shared their names with him. Landor takes his statement and allows him to return to his room. After this, they question another soldier named Stoddard, who was the last person to meet Fry before his death. When Landor asks him about Fry, Stoddard says that Fry was in a hurry that night and was sneaking away from the officers. Fry didn't tell him where he was going. He only said that he had some important work. While Stoddard was telling this, his face turned pale, which made Landor suspicious of him. At that time, Stoddard wasn't feeling well, so Landor gave him permission to leave. Just then, an officer brings a message for the captain. It said that someone had taken out the hearts of a cow and a goat the night before. After reading this news, the captain becomes furious and, to prevent any more killings, he declares a complete lockdown of the academy. However, Landor and Edgar meet outside the academy, ignoring the rules. Landor had assumed that Edgar must have known Fry well, but Edgar says he had never even met Fry. Landor then proposes working together to solve the case. Edgar immediately agrees. After that, Landor gives him the letter found in Fry's hand and asks him to try to understand and complete the incomplete words written in it, then leaves. That night, Edgar visits Landor's house and tells him he has decoded part of the letter. According to the letter, the killer had written it himself and invited Fry to the place where he would be killed, under the pretense of some important work. This clearly meant that Fry knew the killer well. That's why he agreed to meet without hesitation. Landor is very impressed by Edgar's observation, but there were still some incomplete parts in the letter, so Landor and Edgar work together to decode them. After trying for a long time, they conclude that the person who sent the letter was likely a woman. They believe that a young boy would only leave the academy at such a late hour for a woman. Edgar tells Landor that if the killer is a woman, then he might have seen her before. Edgar then shares a secret about his life. He says that his mother died 20 years ago, but her spirit still talks to him. She recites poems to him every night, which Edgar writes in his diary. One morning he wrote a poem about a sad girl who had committed a crime. That same morning, Edgar saw a girl outside his window who looked exactly like the one described in the poem. That's why Edgar thought that the girl might be the killer. He says he only saw the girl once. However, all of this sounds unbelievable to Landor, and he begins to think that Edgar is mad. Later that night, while Landor is in the arms of the bartender Patsy, he asks her about Edgar. Patsy tells him that Edgar is a good boy, and he has no one in this world. That's why he feels his mother's presence in everything, just to feel like she's still with him. Hearing this, Landor feels very sorry for Edgar, because he understands what it's like to be alone in the world. The next day, while Landor is investigating something at the hospital, a thought strikes him. Why would someone want to keep another person's heart? After thinking deeply, Landor begins to believe that this murder may be connected to black magic. He writes a letter to Edgar, asking him to meet at an old, deserted house. By chance, Landor finds evidence of black magic in the house, along with a demonic symbol. By the time Edgar reaches there, Landor finds out that the killer was taking out the hearts of people and animals for black magic rituals. After learning this, Landor and Edgar immediately go to one of their friends who knows a lot about black magic. Landor's friend tells him to take out a book from the bookshelf. The book was written by a famous witch hunter. It was written in the book that one of the rituals to please the devil is to offer the heart of a hanged man to the devil. Along with this, the friend tells Landor that many years ago there was a famous witch hunter named Henry Leclerc, who had killed about 700 witches. He had written another book in which he described a ritual to become immortal. However, nobody knows where that book is now. After this, Landor tells Edgar to go and make friends with the soldiers and try to find out who among them knows about black magic. Edgar does exactly that. he becomes friends with a group of soldiers and learns that the doctor's son, Artemis, knows about black magic. On some excuse, Edgar meets Artemis and becomes friends with him. One day, Artemis invites Edgar to a party. Edgar tells everything to Landor as well. From then on, Landor and Edgar start investigating Artemis together. That night, Edgar goes to Artemis's party, where some of Artemis's friends are also present. Edgar befriends them by reciting colorful poetry to them. While talking, Edgar learns that Artemis and his friend Bellinger both knew Fry very well. He also finds out that Fry was in love with Artemis's sister, but she betrayed him in love. On the other hand, while Landor was sleeping, he heard someone crying. When he gets closer, he sees his own daughter crying there. She was crying a lot, but she disappeared the very next moment. Landor becomes very upset and starts crying, remembering his daughter. Since the separation from his daughter, such emotional incidents had become common for Landor. The next morning, during Fry's funeral, Fry's mother comes to Landor and gives him Fry's diary, hoping it would help with the investigation. Everything inside the diary was written in a secret code. Understanding what was written in it was not an easy task, but Landor starts trying to decode it. Meanwhile, Edgar becomes friends with Artemis's sister, Leah, the same girl he had seen outside his window the morning he was writing the poem his mother told him. Edgar invites Leah to meet him at a deserted place so that he can investigate her. But after seeing Leah's beauty and innocence, Edgar himself falls in love with her. Suddenly, Leah starts suffering from epilepsy. She falls to the ground and starts writhing in pain. Seeing this, Edgar gets extremely scared. However, after a short while, Leah recovers on her own. At the same time, after putting in a lot of effort, Landor finally succeeds in decoding the words written in Fry's diary. That night, while Edgar is returning from the academy, he senses someone's presence around him. But when he looks around, he sees no one. Suddenly, Bellinger attacks Edgar and threatens him to stay away from Leah. Actually, Bellinger was also in love with Leah, and he didn't like Edgar getting closer to her. Just then, Landor arrives and beats Bellinger, making him go away. Edgar becomes very angry and tells Landor that if Bellinger comes between him and Leah again, he will kill him. Landor somehow calms Edgar down and explains things to him. The next morning, Landor hears from the captain that Bellinger has disappeared. Landor is surprised to hear this. He goes with the captain and the rest of the soldiers to search for Bellinger. After a short search, they find Bellinger hanging, just like Fry. His heart was also taken out of his chest. When his body is brought to the hospital, Dr. Marquis tells the colonel and the captain that Bellinger's murderer is someone else, because the chest wounds on Bellinger and Fry are completely different. The biggest difference was that this new murderer had also made Bellinger impotent. After hearing this, the colonel becomes furious and starts questioning Landor's abilities. He scolds Landor, saying that even after so many efforts, Landor has not been able to find any solid evidence. Meanwhile, the captain tells Landor that he now fully suspects Edgar. The captain says that during dinner the previous day, Edgar was openly telling the soldiers about his fight with Bellinger, and he even threatened to kill Bellinger in front of everyone. Landor defends Edgar, saying he is a good boy. He must have said those things in anger, but he can't kill anyone. Then the captain tells Landor something surprising. He says that last summer, Edgar had also gotten into a fight with Fry. The colonel adds that he would have arrested Edgar a long time ago, but there is no solid evidence against him. Hearing this truth about Edgar, Landor is stunned. Once, Landor had asked Edgar about Fry, but Edgar clearly said he didn't know Fry. Now Landor goes straight to Edgar to ask the questions running through his mind. He scolds him angrily and tries to get the truth out of him. In his defense, Edgar says that ever since he joined the academy, he has had fights with dozens of boys because many people made fun of him for his face or personality. But he never let the feeling of revenge grow in his heart. Hearing Edgar's words, Landor also feels satisfied and believes that Edgar is innocent. Later that day, Dr. Marquis organizes a dinner at his house to mourn Bellinger's death. He invites both Landor and Edgar. Everyone is having dinner when suddenly Artemis forgets his manners and starts speaking rudely to Landor. Actually, he suspects that Landor had secretly searched his room. That's why he keeps insulting Landor. Seeing this behavior, Artemis's mother gets angry at him and leaves the dinner table. Right after her, Leah also gets up and leaves. However, the doctor apologizes to Landor for his family's rude behavior and offers to make a drink for him to lighten the mood. While the doctor is preparing the drink, Landor notices a magic book on his shelf. Seeing it, Landor begins to suspect the doctor. He decides to investigate the doctor and asks him if his daughter is sick. The doctor tells him that his daughter, Leah, has a dangerous disease that causes her to live in constant fear. Because of this illness, she hasn't married yet. While they are talking, Artemis comes to call them to listen to Leah's piano performance. But Landor says he wants to get some fresh air, and uses the moment to sneak away and search Artemis's room. Meanwhile, Edgar forgets everything else, and gets lost in Leah's piano tune. He had fallen so deeply in love with Leah, that he was ready to do anything for her. On the other hand, Landor finds a coat in Artemis's room that does not have a rank on its shoulder. Landor remembers the Academy guard had mentioned that the officer who granted him leave wore a coat just like that. Then, Mrs. Marquis arrives there and is also surprised to see that coat. Landor takes the coat downstairs. The doctor says it belongs to his dead brother, and he doesn't know how it ended up in the house. Landor tells him that the coat was found in Artemis's room. Before Artemis can say anything, the captain arrives and says that another soldier named Stoddard is missing from the academy. Stoddard is the same boy who last saw Fry and nervously gave a statement to Landor. After hearing this, Landor immediately goes with them to search Stoddard's room. After searching the room, Landor tells everyone that Stoddard wasn't kidnapped. He ran away from the academy on his own. Landor says this because Stoddard's belongings were also missing from the room. Landor guesses that Stoddard, Bellinger, and Fry were good friends, and after seeing how Fry and Bellinger died, Stoddard got scared that he would be next. That's probably why he ran away in fear. Because of the coat found in Artemis's room, everyone starts suspecting him of being the killer. But Landor still doesn't have solid proof against Artemis, so he asks the colonel for some more time to gather evidence. Meanwhile, Edgar goes to Leah and recites his poem to her. Leah then takes him out for a walk. On the other side, Landor visits his friend again and learns that Henry Leclerc, the man who wrote the book on immortality, was actually a devil worshipper. Landor's friend also shows him a picture of Henry Leclerc. Landor suddenly remembers that he has seen this painting somewhere else. He immediately rushes to the doctor's house. He had seen that picture of Henry there, because he had seen the book of black magic in the doctor's house, which was probably written by Henry. Also, Henry's painting was hanging on the wall. Landor now suspects that the doctor's entire family is behind all the mysterious incidents happening in the city. His doubts turn into certainty when he holds the magic book in his hands. It was indeed written by Henry. Landor threatens the doctor and tries to force him to tell the truth. The doctor becomes frightened and begins to confess everything. The doctor tells Landor that his daughter Leah has a serious illness and only has about 3 months left to live. He tried every treatment to save her, but no medicine worked. Then one day, Leah told the doctor that her ancestor, Henry Leclerc, spoke to her and had shared a magical ritual that could make her immortal. According to the doctor, after performing the ritual, Leah actually started to recover. Seeing this, the entire family got involved in performing the ritual. As the doctor is explaining this to Landor, on the other side, his daughter, along with her mother and brother, is busy completing the ritual. Leah had taken Edgar, who was unconscious, to an old house and was about to cut out his heart and offer it to the devil. In this ritual, Leah's mother and her brother fully supported her. Leah had Fry's heart in her hand, which she offered to the devil. After that, she placed Edgar's blood on her forehead and began reciting a spell. Meanwhile, after questioning the doctor, Landor learns that Leah and Artemis are about to kill Edgar. So, he starts running toward the house. On the other hand, Edgar had opened his eyes, but he was still not fully conscious. He knew that Leah was going to kill him, but he loved her so much that he was ready to sacrifice himself to keep her alive. After this, Leah continues reciting the magic spell and moves forward to take out Edgar's heart. But before she can harm Edgar, Landor arrives. All three of them get scared when they see Landor and warn him to stay away by threatening him with a knife. Just then, a candle falls and sets the house on fire. A scuffle begins between Artemis and Landor. Leah keeps reciting the spell, but suddenly, a burning wooden beam falls on her and badly injures her. Seeing this, Artemis runs to save Leah. Taking advantage of the moment, Landor carries Edgar out of the burning house. Artemis and his mother were focused only on Leah when suddenly, a burning part of the house collapsed on them. Landor manages to save the doctor's wife, but Leah and Artemis are burned to ashes. Seeing Leah die, Edgar is deeply shocked. After this, Edgar is admitted to the Academy Hospital safely. It's revealed that Dr. Marquis had already resigned. The captain and the colonel thank Landor for solving the mystery and apologize for ever doubting him. After completing his duty, Landor returns home. But this story does not end here. A few days later, Edgar comes to Landor's house, fully recovered. He says he has found out something about Landor's daughter's death. Saying this, he walks inside. Edgar is very angry with Landor because he has discovered a secret that Landor had hidden from the world. The handwriting on the letter Landor had once written to Edgar matches the handwriting on the letter found in Fry's hand. This means Landor was the one who wrote the letter and lured Fry to the place of his death. To understand why Landor did this, Edgar began investigating. He learned from Patsy that one night, when Landor's daughter was returning home from a party, 3 rogue cadets from the academy raped her. After knowing this, Edgar understood that Fry was definitely involved in that crime. But now, Edgar wanted to hear the whole truth directly from Landor, because by now, he already knew too much. So, Landor began telling him everything. Actually, Landor's daughter hadn't run away with anyone. Because of the terrible crime committed against her, she had taken her own life by jumping off a mountain. To get revenge, Landor had been secretly looking for the culprits. He had already received Fry's locket from his daughter, so Landor knew that Fry was one of the 3. To kill Fry, he wrote a letter in Patsy's name and called Fry out of the academy. Then, Landor knocked him unconscious with his weapon, and later hanged him from a tree. He had also asked Fry for the names of the other 2 boys, but Fry didn't reveal anything. Then, Landor heard someone approaching, and he had to run away. Landor was lucky, because that same night, the doctor had taken out Fry's heart for a black magic ritual. It felt as though even God was helping Landor in punishing his daughter's rapists. Even the colonel had chosen Landor to investigate Fry's death. Landor took advantage of that and claimed it was a case of black magic to hide his own crime. He then worked to frame the doctor's family, who were already obsessed with superstition. To make the whole case look like black magic, Landor had removed the hearts of animals himself. While decoding Fry's diary, Landor discovered the name of the second culprit, Bellinger. After that, he killed Bellinger and took out his heart too, so that it would seem like another black magic ritual, just like Fry's murder. Landor had beaten Bellinger and forced him to reveal the name of the 3rd culprit, Stoddard. But before Landor could kill him, Stoddard ran away from the academy in fear. Edgar asks Landor why he didn't punish Stoddard. Landor replies that he no longer has the courage to commit another murder. He only hopes that wherever Stoddard is, he lives with guilt for the rest of his life. In this way, Landor very cleverly took revenge while fooling the entire military academy. And Landor didn't regret what he had done, because he did it all for his daughter. But Edgar's heart was shattered by Leia's death. That's why he takes Landor's letters to the colonel as evidence. But then he realizes that this punishment wasn't enough for the monsters who had done such a horrible thing to Landor's daughter. Thinking this, Edgar burns the evidence. After all this, Landor had nothing left, except the memories of his daughter. That's why, in the end, he goes to stand at the top of the mountain to reunite with his family. Friends, if you liked this video and got lost in the story while watching, then please subscribe to support us, so we can keep bringing you more videos like this. Thanks for watching.